Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is CHGO Cubs Pregame show, not presented by anyone, and no Luke Stuckmeyer, too.
Presented by Cody and Ryan.
Presented by Cody and Ryan. There you go.
Yeah.
See, there's no Luke Stuckmeyer, there's no Corey Freedman to lead us, and so we're doing our best here. All right. I'm Cody. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. Ryan Herrera, Ryan_A_Herrera.
Oh, yeah.
I got that right. All right. I'm getting a little bit of it down. Cubs go for the sweep today in Pittsburgh. 11:30 a.m. Getaway day. How you feel?
I mean, this is it's still an important game, obviously, and I've already seen discourse about the lineup and whatever.
Yeah,
it's a getaway day. They have won the series. Mm-hmm. They have a guy on the mound they trust. They have we'll get into some of the injury updates, but maybe it's not the ideal lineup for any given game, but considering how much a lot of these guys have been playing, considering the timing, considering they're about to go to London,
yep.
It's not. I don't think they're packing it in, but maybe not the best lineup they could be putting out there under the circumstances. But I do think Kyle Hendricks on the mound for the Cubs today, trying to get the sweep. He's been good. He's been not
last few starts.
He's not been old Kyle Hendricks. I mean, outside of that Giants start, that was old, vintage Kyle Hendricks. But overall, he hasn't been like that 2016 top 3 Cy Young vote getter. He's not that, and he's not going to be that. I don't think we're going to expect that, but he's been fine. He's been good. He's given them a chance to win for the most part when he's gone out there. I think you feel good with Kyle Hendricks going up against the Pirates today, and we'll see what he can do. I think we're still in this little part where we're giving him that leash, and you don't know for sure if he's back or if he what he's just because he has only made a few starts since coming off the IL after nearly a year of not starting. But we are also starting to get to the point where it's okay, we're getting towards a month since he came back. Is this the Kyle Hendricks, a back end guy that the Cubs feel like they can rely on, and the guy that they can, what they were hoping coming into the season was that when Kyle Hendricks was healthy and returned, he would be the guy to round out the rotation. And now, Marcus Stroman, like we talked about all night yesterday, is pitching at a Cy Young level. Justin Steele's having a great year. Not that far behind Marcus Stroman. I know the injury set him back a couple weeks, but he's been great. Drew Smiley's been everything they could have asked for, considering what they're paying him, what they're asking him to do. Jameson Taillon's kind of been the disappointment, but I think there's still a little bit of run you can give him, and I do think he's a better pitcher than what he's shown this season. But those are 4 guys that they were counting on to come into the season. And when Kyle Hendricks returned, he was going to be that 5th guy to really set the rotation. This is the rotation they were hoping to have at this point in the season. Now you've given Kyle a few weeks to get back into legitimate major league pitching game mode. And now I want to see what he could do against the Pirates. See if he can finish off this sweep, and
Well, I believe he pitched. His last start was against the Pirates last week.
Wasn't it the Orioles?
Was it the Orioles?
I believe it was the Orioles. Yeah.
All right. Well, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. He had a good start against the Orioles then because they won that game on Friday. So yeah, he's pitching. He's pitched. His last few starts have been, obviously the one in San Francisco was great, and then he followed it up with another, quality start. I don't think it was technically a quality start, but a good start.
Yeah, 5 innings, 2 earned runs against the Orioles on Friday.
One inning short of a quality start.
But it was, again, like I said, another good outing from him.
So obviously Luke is not here, and Corey, he's going to be joining us for postgame. So the whole how we start the podcast, this is new for me, and I just wanted to say that hit the like button, subscribe, CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We got 15 likes. Hit the like button up. 51 watching. I see you, Colada, complaining about the lineup. Right on brand, man. I appreciate you. People asking about Dansby Swanson. People asking about Cody Hoyer. Yeah. We got a little bit of an update on Swanson.
Yeah, so this is from Sahada Sharma at The Athletic. David Ross said Dansby Swanson would be playing today if it were the playoffs, but they're taking advantage of the days off coming up, especially with a quick turnaround after a night game. And then, in quotes, almost certainly one game, Ross said, about expected time missed for Swanson. So, yeah, it feels like if this was a truly important game, and not that it's not like David Ross does want to win every game, but if this was like a late September, like we're trying to make the playoffs here, he'd probably be in the game. Right. But considering it's June 21st, they have made up that kind of ground where a little bit of cushion, even if for a day, to give Dansby Swanson a day, and you got 2 off days before they got to play again on Saturday. So you're giving them 3 days off. The X-rays were negative. Like, it feels like he could play today.
It's a smart move because they're coming off a night game going into a day game.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I think it's fine. It's one game, and you're playing a team that's lost like 9 in a row, and you're playing Nico Horner at short, and then you're giving Christopher Morel the opportunity to play second base. I guess that can go into the lineup a little bit.
Well, that specific thing with Nico is what we talked about yesterday and this is what happened earlier in the season. I don't remember exactly when it happened, when Swanson came out of the game mid-game and they just shifted Nico over to shortstop. They have a really good shortstop in Nico Horner that they trust. And even though he's playing second base primarily right now, it's like the Cubs feel if they need to give Dansby a day, whatever, like today, they can take Nico, they can move him over to shortstop, and he can fill in. He filled in admirably last year, and he could do the same even for a day or a couple days, whatever it has to be. They trust Nico Horner at shortstop based on what he showed them last season. So I think that also played into, okay, we can afford to give Dansby a day here. Let him rest the wrist because we got Nico Horner, who we really trust at shortstop. I think that also played a part in it too.
Yeah, and you make a lot of good points. I'm excited to be able to see Morel play the field at a position that I actually feel good about him at. Obviously, he's not going to play there every day because when Swanson's healthy, you want Nico there, right? But I guess in the short term of not having Dansby today, it's kind of like, all right, well, at least you get to see Morel play at a spot defensively that I feel like me and you and maybe people in the chat feel pretty good about him in there. So let's go through the lineup. So we got Nico leading off, obviously playing short. Seiya Suzuki in right field, batting second. In third, we got Morel playing second base. And then Trey Mancini getting a start, and he's at first. Ian Happ in left field, batting fifth. Jan Gomes catching today and batting sixth. And then Miguel Amaya. Good to see him back in the lineup after getting hit by that pitch a few days ago against Baltimore. And then
he's DHing today.
He's DHing. And then batting eighth, the Palatine pounder, Mike Tauchman. Yeah, the legend himself. And then, everyone's favorite player, Nick Madrigal, batting ninth at playing third base. So I'll just give my thoughts real quick on this lineup. Obviously, with Swanson out, that's why it looks a little bit different. But obviously, some people might be wondering, why isn't Tauchman leading off? Well, Rich Hill's a lefty. I know Tauchman's been great. I feel like you want to give him as many at-bats as you can right now because he's hitting well. But his numbers definitely are better as a righty than they are, or definitely better against facing righties than they are lefties. At least they were in the minor leagues before he came up, and I feel like it's been a little bit of the same of that for the most part. He's probably faced more righties than he has lefties because I feel like they haven't played him as much when they have gone up against lefties. But I think that's why Tauchman's eighth. Mancini's in there because he has good numbers against Rich Hill in his career. Gomes hits lefties well, which no one has an issue with that. Happ is going to be batting right today, so move him down a little bit just because he's not been that great against lefties this year in general. Seiya Suzuki's going to give you a good quality at bat. I know he's kind of struggled of late. He's been hitting the ball hard, but unfortunately into the ground. It is what it is. But to me the lineup makes sense for all things considered coming into today, and the pitching matchup they're going up against. So, obviously you want to load up with a lot of righties going up against Rich Hill. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean his splits are a lot more neutral. Like they're not like really pronounced between righties and lefties, but it's still lefty on lefty. Like there will be times where just the lefty, like a ball coming out of the left-hander's hand to a lefty batter will look different than a right-handed batter. So I don't have a problem with the lineup. I know people are talking about Amaya not catching Hendricks, and I don't think it has anything to do with Amaya as far instead of like it's like Yan Gomes is a good defensive catcher too, and like I don't think
and there's Hendricks has praised him before in the past as well.
He's praised both of them, and they're making the argument that Amaya's caught Hendricks' last couple 2-3 starts, whatever it is, and that's great. But like Hendricks likes throwing to Yan Gomes too, and Yan Gomes, he's got to play. He's got to be behind the plate at some point, and I think it's also to the point where we've talked about Kyle Hendricks. He's kind of calling his own pitches. He's using the pitcher pitch com now, like he's trying to do his own game. So not that it doesn't matter who's behind the plate, but it's also like if he's taking a little bit more control of the pitch calling and stuff like that, who's behind the plate, as long as they're both good defensive catchers, like it's not as big of a deal in my opinion. If you have a guy like if you have a grizzled veteran who knows who knows what he does well and knows how to pitch, like Kyle Hendricks, and knows how to pitch a good game, knows how to call his own good game, like I think you're fine having either of those two behind the plate for him.
Yeah. With Amaya in the lineup, I'm just happy to see that he's actually in the lineup, considering he came out of that game where he got hit by a pitch, and I think on the Sunday game against Baltimore, and I know there wasn't any real like major news that came after it other than like it wasn't broken or anything like that, but like I was there at the game, like I saw it not too far up in the stands, and it didn't look great. So I'm just happy to see he's back in the lineup after 3 days off basically, and I don't mind him DHing, and again, remember Swanson being out, that just opens up an opportunity for a handful of other guys. So obviously I think today Cubs are going to need Trey Mancini to have a big day because he's batting fourth, and he's got good numbers against Rich Hill. And he's coming off his last game. He's coming off a game where he had 2 doubles in it against his old team in the Orioles. So I feel like his last few games he's actually been hitting okay, at least giving decent at bats. So I don't hate the lineup. It is fine with me.
It's not the best lineup they could throw out on like any given day, in my opinion, but it's a lineup that's kind of built around that righty versus lefty matchup. I think it's a fine lineup. I think Rich Hill isn't. He's had a great long career, which considering how long ago he was on the Cubs, like it's still surprising to see him pitching in the major leagues at this point and pitching at a decent level. Yeah. But they're not facing like a top line starter right now. I think this lineup could still do some damage against Rich Hill.
Our guy Stephen Nicholas, my fearless leader, showing me how to do these things, producing, trying to gas me up about the Photoshop, but I failed him because Morel's head is clipped off by the DraftKings, so that's my bad. But hey, we're not perfect in that.
Well, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story,
right.
Braggs.
Well, hey,
you got the face in there.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
There.
So
I see our UK friend Rachel's in the chat. I'm sure she's really excited about Cubs Cardinals this weekend. We're going to talk a lot more about London probably in the postgame show. Yeah. With Steele and Stroman getting the starts, which is huge.
As the
I think. Yeah, they were announced as the starters. I think Stroman's going to start on Sunday. So, we'll talk a lot more about that on postgame. So make sure to join us. We'll be live right here on YouTube right after the game. Okay, Hendricks versus Rich Hill. Rich Hill revenge game.
I'd be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. And like, Rich Hill's like the oldest guy in the league, right? He's like 43.
Like, if he's one of them.
I'm ready for him to just induce 1,000 ground balls and the Cubs get nothing but weak contact. Like, that's my biggest fear of today's game. Like, that's what I fear what will happen. But again, he's very similar to Kyle Hendricks in the fact that I think his fastball tops out at 88. So If he leaves any over the plate, just like Kyle Hendricks, if Kyle Hendricks does the same thing, there's going to be some rockets hit. So the Cubs going to have to take advantage when he does make mistakes. But I'm sure he's a little gassed up for the start. He always gets gassed up when he gets to play the Cubs. From my recent memory of watching him pitch against the Cubs, it always seems like he goes out there and, gives them a decent outing. So
yeah, I'm like we talked about with Hendricks. I'm intrigued and interested to see what he's able to do to kind of close out this North American slate of the schedule before they go to Europe.
Yeah.
He's 2.86 ERA right now. Through his first 5 starts of the season, he's walking 1.91 walks per 9. So there's a little bit more of the control that we used to be able to see from Kyle Hendricks these last couple of years. Kind of lost that. We're seeing that a little bit more right now. So yeah, I'm interested to see what Kyle Hendricks can do. If he can, he had that no-hit bid against the Giants, had a fine start against the Orioles. What can he do against the Pirates? A division game. The Cubs are half a game up on the Pirates now. They moved into 3rd place last night. They're on a really good run and in position to finish off 2 sweeps of the Pirates in like a week and a half. Kyle Hendricks on the bump is like, I know a few years ago you felt really, really good about Kyle Hendricks being on the bump in a game like this.
Yeah.
Not so much the last couple years, but right now I think you can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt and start to feel a little more comfortable with him on the mound just because he went through that whole rehab process. He has looked good the first few times out since coming back from the injured list. I want to see what he can do today, but I do have some confidence in him considering what he's done the last few times out.
I mean, I've been cautiously optimistic about Kyle Hendricks since his return. Like, I'm just hoping that, like you said at the beginning, like if he can fill in that role of 5th starter and just be basically what Hayden Wisniewski was, but just a little bit better, I feel like we're probably sitting pretty okay with him. And basically all that means is I need him to give us at least 5 innings every start. I'm asking for 5 strong innings of 3 earned or less from Kyle Hendricks every 5th day. That's my expectation out of someone like him at this point in his career. So, I'm excited. So
I think it's okay to be optimistic about it.
Yeah,
going into it, I think
fair.
I think it's okay to be optimistic about a Kyle Hendricks start going into it.
Okay. Well, we're about halfway through the pregame show, so usually Luke leads me into this, but
you lead yourself into it.
I'm going to lead myself into it. Usually, my good friend and co-host on CHGO Bets Daily, Sean Anderson, he is in the chat. I've seen him in the chat, and he's asking me where I am for the bet show. Well, we don't have bet show today, but he's just trolling. So. But I've seen people asking for today's hit parlay, and today's hit parlay is Seiya Suzuki, Yan Gomes, and Trey Mancini. All three mash lefties. Specifically Seiya Suzuki and Yan Gomes this year. Trey Mancini was brought in to mash lefties.
Sure.
But Suzuki and Gomes have great numbers against left-handed pitchers. So that comes out to plus 180 on DraftKings today. They have a 20% boost on any MLB same-game parlay. If you add more legs, you can get a bigger boost, but 3 legs will get you a 20% boost. It goes from plus 180 to plus 216. So, yeah, that's my pick of the day. I also did sprinkle a little bit on Trey Mancini over 1.5 total bases just because I think he's going to have a good day today because he's hitting 375 against Rich Hill in his career. And 8 at-bats, but he has 2 home runs against him. So
small sample,
but he has a lot of success. So let's manifest it, guys. All right.
Spirit fingers.
All right. So we got about 10 minutes left before.
I didn't know if you wanted to look over the Pirates lineup at all.
Yeah. Let's look at the Pirates lineup. Why not? We don't do that very often on pregame, but why not?
Do it.
Luke's not here. We can do whatever we want now. He let us.
We're
loose.
the captains now, Luke.
We're the captains now.
Yeah, I mean, you got a pretty similar lineup for the Pirates today. I mean,
yeah. So
G1 Bay was a little lower in it yesterday.
Yeah,
but he's up there. And I said earlier that would be a good Valentine's Day card. Would you be my G1 Bay?
You know what I like to see?
Law didn't think it was very good. But yeah, you got Cabron Hayes, Jack Sawinski right there, 2 and 3.
Yep.
Connor Joe. He
couple hits last night.
He was like one of the only ones against Stroman that was like hitting him pretty hard yesterday.
Yeah.
He had 2 line drive singles, I want to say, yesterday.
Right.
So
Henry Davis, the rookie, first overall pick in 2021 draft, he's in there. Cal Mitchell, Rodolfo Castro.
He almost hit
Austin
that home
Hedges.
run yesterday, didn't he? Wasn't that Cal Mitchell?
Yes, Cal Mitchell was the one who hit that opposite field foul ball that was inches away from potentially giving them the lead and
or
probably
tying
winning
the game, whatever it was.
Yeah. I'll say this: no Brian Reynolds in the lineup, and all I can say is I'll take that every day of the week.
I mean, not having Brian Reynolds in a lineup is good for whoever's facing Brian Reynolds' team.
Yeah,
of course, like he's a very good player. There's a reason they gave him that really big extension. He's a good player, and to not have to face him is good for any pitcher. But no, there's still some good bats in that lineup. I mean, Austin Hedges hit a home run last week at Wrigley. You never know. You never know what might happen out at PNC Park.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is they have 3 guys in their lineup with 2 first names: Connor Joe, Henry Davis, Cal Mitchell. You can't trust people with 2 first names like Mark Carmen.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, got him. Yep, there you go.
That's our CHGO Cubs and CHGO Bears crossover right there.
You're both rocking the Bears shirts. So.
Yeah. I guess we got some time left, so we can read some comments and then just kind of go into the importance.
Well, we didn't talk about Cody Herrera, did we?
Oh, we didn't. Thank you. See, no Luke Stuckmeyer. He has all this stuff to put down.
So that kind of came out as like mid-show yesterday.
Yeah, it came out in the middle of the show yesterday.
Coming out of the game.
Yeah, and Tommy Birch tweeted this morning that he is still under evaluation. So there's not really an update.
No real update.
Yeah. I've watched that highlight a handful of times, man, and like I know we shouldn't really technically speculate, but I just don't feel great about it. And that sucks. More so for him, like, forget my fandom of the Cubs and all that, but like the dude's coming back from Tommy John and something like this happens, like that sucks. Like I feel really bad for him if it is something really serious.
Well, yeah, and I want to save like real. I don't want to speculate until we really know like what happened, which may be another couple days. But yeah, like for a guy who already had Tommy John last March, like right before the season, so he's missed. He hasn't pitched since September. It's maybe that first week of October when they were still playing of 2022 or 20. No wait, yeah, no, never mind. Sorry, he hasn't pitched since September 2021. It's been a long time since he pitched, and now it's going to be well over 2 years potentially, depending on what this injury could be. So, yeah, it didn't look great on the replay for Cody Herrera. You feel for the guy. It's been 13 months now, going on 14 months since he had the Tommy John surgery last year. You know, I remember talking to him like over a year ago, and him still, you know, like his hope was like the ideal thing was June, July would be like a return time. Talked to him again during spring training, and that was still kind of the case. And you know, talking about how much he was looking forward to it, like a few more months of rehab, can get back on the mound, all that stuff, and yeah, to see him have any type of setback coming back from a surgery as intensive as Tommy John, like any kind of setback, regardless of length of time, is tough to see for someone going through that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, as a like human being, you hope the best for Cody Herrera.
Absolutely. And so hopefully we get an update, you know, if they give us an update before, you know, the end of the game or something like that. If some information comes out of Iowa, we'll definitely talk about it on post game. But fan guy 218 in the chat, he mentions Braylon Marquez though, which yesterday we saw he is reporting to, was it ACL? Is that what it's called?
Should I say that again?
Braylon Marquez. He's going to the rehabs,
the Arizona Complex League.
Thank you. Yes, the Arizona
I believe
Complex
our
League.
friend Rich Beesterfield might have had like a small update. Let me keep talking while I find it real quick.
Well, I think when I saw that Braylon Marquez was going to the Arizona Complex League, it was like, wow, he's actually going to go pitch, because the guy hasn't pitched since. I feel like he legitimately hasn't pitched since the White Sox game in 2020.
I think that is the last time he's pitched in like any sort of competitive game.
Right. So the fact that he's actually going to go play in some sort of, you know, games that and they don't matter like here with the Cubs, but they're competitive games. Like he's working, he's healthy enough to where he can go out there and play in competitive games. Like I think that's a big deal. So
considering how hyped up of a prospect he was in this system a few years back, and granted the system wasn't overall at its healthiest a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But he was their top pitching prospect. He was their top prospect, I want to say, depending on where you looked at, even a couple years ago. So like, yeah, this is a pretty big like development for him. And this is so from Rich Biesterfield at BIEST22 on Twitter.
Good friend of ours.
He said Cubs pitcher Braylon Marquez made his first official game appearance on Tuesday night in the ACL. So Arizona Complex League since his MLB debut in late 2020. Braylon went 1 inning pitch with 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Just good to see him back in game action, which, considering it's been that long since he pitched in like a competitive ball game, like it's just a human being. Good to see him on healthy enough to pitch in a game.
I'm curious to know like what the fastball is hitting, but all that aside, it's good to see him back out there. And you know, whatever happens with him is like a bonus at this point because he went from top prospect to we thought he was done, and to see him at the Complex League is good for him. So,
who you got?
Let's do who you got. The all important. This is the only thing more important than the game today, according to sources. You're going Morel?
I went Morel. Righty lefty. He's hitting third today. We'll see. We'll see if he can he's been on a little bit of a hot streak since getting that breather in Anaheim. Didn't play any of those 3 games, came back. I think he went 0 for in that first game back. But since then, he's been swinging the bat really well. So I think he can put up some numbers against Rich Hill today.
All right. Well, I like the matchup because righty versus lefty, and when he's seeing the soft stuffs well, which is usually when he's hitting well, when he's seeing the ball well, he just hits lasers.
He almost hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm going Madrigal because we're 8-1, I believe, or is it 9-1? I've lost count. Since getting swept by the Angels, when I take Mastrobuoni, Madrigal, or Barnhart, the Cubs are, I believe, 8-1. Credit to me, man of integrity.
When I said he almost hit a home run yesterday, I was talking about Madrigal because I just kind of looked at the screen and saw that you'd picked him.
I was going to say, I didn't think Morel almost hit a home run
Morel
yesterday.
didn't almost hit a home run yesterday. Nick Madrigal almost hit a home run yesterday.
It would have been in 24 different parks. So we're riding some high momentum for Nick Madrigal today, guys. Like, here we go. I don't know. I as someone who gives credit where credit is due, I won't say he's been mightily impressive since he's come back from Iowa, but he has been getting on base a lot of times because he's getting hit by a pitch. But he did 2 days ago. He had a single up the middle that I know that you haven't forgot about on a line drive, almost 100 miles per hour. He hit the ball to the wall yesterday.
Barely missed a barrel.
And he's playing decent defense, man. I don't know. Like, I know we have issues at third base, and we've talked about it at nauseum. But all things considered, since he came back from Iowa, he's been decent. And I, again, give credit where credit is due. Brennan's going with Seiya, and then Corey, who has arrived and will be on postgame with us.
Does Corey want to come here and defend his Miggy, or like talk about why he picked Miggy? Do you want to save it for after? You want to run?
What did he say?
Do you want to come on? He'll do it later. All right, Corey will talk about his Miggy pick.
All right.
And I'm taking Yan Gomes.
You're taking Yan Gomes? Okay.
Yeah.
The producer pick is Yan
Gomes.
Gomes.
Elder statesman.
Yeah.
The producer pick.
Yeah. I know Sean in the chat said something about taking the home run prop for Gomes today. So I don't hate it. He has really mashed lefties. So not
got a few guys in the chat taking Mancini.
Yeah, we got Jack taking Mancini. Vanilla Chills taking Mancini.
And before we pop out of here, I know this has been a topic that's been talked about ad nauseum when it comes to Rich Hill, but it just can't be understated. I mean,
the daily random Cub tweet.
This is my childhood, and he's still pitching. It's surreal. And Daily Random Cub put out.
What year is this?
Daily Random Cub put out. This was his first career start in 2005.
In May
this was the starting lineup. August. Now he's at the age of 43. This was the starting lineup in his first career start in 2005.
I don't even remember
Matt
Lawton.
Left field.
Cubs
Todd
legend.
Walker, Cubs legend, second base.
Derek
Lee, that he had a
Ramirez.
sensational year that year.
Nomar.
Thomas Ramirez, Nomar
Nomar.
Garcia, Jeremy Burnitz, Jose Macias, Michael Barrett, and Rich Hill. Unbelievable.
Back in the day when
Wow.
pitchers were hitting in the National League.
Wow.
Where were
What a
you
time.
for Rich Hill's first career start?
He was
I
supposed to
literally
be the
don't
next
know.
Barry
Yeah.
Zito. I mean, he come out there with that curveball. You're like, whoa, look at this guy. And now
Still
pitching to this.
Rich Hill's career is kind of like you really like you look at it and you're like, wow, like he was able to last this long. Because like when he was with the Cubs, he had some ups and he had a lot of downs, and at the end, like it was a big down. And then there's a time in there where I felt like he was just kind of out of the league. It felt like. Then he comes back with the Dodgers, and he's just been pitching for good teams ever since. And then he takes this contract with the Pirates, and they start off the season. I don't know what they're going to end up, but that's in the grand scheme. That's what I feel like Rich Hill's career has been. Is just like it felt like it started off good, then it died, and then he came back after like however many years, and he's still pitching.
He was a reliever for pretty much exclusively a reliever from 2010 to 2014, and then he got 4 starts in Boston in 15, and then that's Oakland and LA and the Dodgers in 2016. That's when his like career resurgence started.
Jack in the comments says, "I was born in 2005."
Jeez, I was 9, 8 or 9.
I was a freshman in high school, so I was like, what, 14, 15 years old.
Craig said he was watching Hill's first career start.
Oh,
He's
that's
old.
where he was. He was watching it. Okay.
There you go. I definitely don't remember it. Like I obviously remember him being on the Cubs. I don't have any vivid memories of Rich Hill's first start in 2005.
No. All right. This has been the CHGO Cubs pregame show. Corey will be with us on postgame, and he'll probably be leading this thing on postgame, and then we can compare who did better as a joke. But hopefully they win. We can do the beer bat, and we'll feel good going to London and have a couple off days. So we'll see you back here.
You did a great job, Cody.
Thank you, Braggs. I'm going to take that to heart.
What about me?
Yeah, you did okay.
Okay, that's fine.
He did a good job sitting in my seat, right?
I'll take okay.
Because
no, the person that sits there normally chugs a beer.
What's that? It's after a game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's pregame today.
Okay.
I'll also have to mention that Ryan is also wearing shorts, so
Yeah, look, did you see these legs?
Credit to him.
Sun's
All right.
out, big knees out. Let's go.
There we go.
Cubs sweep. Let's get it.
Let's do it. All right, this has been the CHGO Cubs pregame show. We'll see you after the game right here on CHGO Sports.
You heard that,
YouTube
Barbara?
channel.
Live after the game.
Live. We'll be live after the game, Barb.